Well, I've finally done it, and I've got Mickey KLANN on here today, which my audience have been asking for some time. So it's really, really good to see you. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks so much for having me, Charlie. It's a pleasure to see you again.
It's a pleasure to see you. I noticed one of your videos with Catherine Edwards, who's a good friend of mine too. She's been on this journey for a while, and it's one of the most important things right now is to stick together, with everybody standing together rather than trying to be divisive or be better than. I spoke about this last night with General Flynn about egos getting in the way. And that's what will hold us back if we let egos get in the way rather than standing together, standing up against evil. And this is a war between good and evil.
Yes. However, I could maybe argue that a little bit. I could say, and I don't like to be in a state of argument. I like to be in a state of agreement, or I like to be in a state of acceptance and equity. So if we were to accept the given situation, it's sort of like a parting of the Red Sea where you have a duality, right? So there really isn't about good and evil per se. It's more about awake and asleep, because you really only have 1% global elite pulling the cords. And 99.999% of the devil's army don't even know that they've contracted with the enemy. They think they're actually doing what's right. So now it's time for us to set it right, to bring in Dharma, right? And in order to do that, we all have to almost be on the same wavelength. And it's now the time where we can no longer wait around for MSM or EBS or Google to tell the truth. What we really need to do is put everyone in check, which is exactly what Trump did. Remember when he went and got every country to capitulate? He played the first chess move. He put them in check. He said, look, I can see all of your sins. I can see all the, the crimes against humanity that have piled all the way up to heaven. From this day forth, you work for me. And then you saw a trail of resignations, right? And that's just all we're doing now, is we're putting people in check. And we have to start calling out our government officials, because if we don't, then the people are going to continue to give them authority that they don't actually have.
I couldn't agree more. For me, it's been a fascinating journey, because I knew that a lot of this stuff happened three years ago. And I was telling the world what was happening then, but it wasn't in plain sight for people to see. Now they're actually seeing it, and they go, well, it's happening now. And they said, well, it actually happened some time ago. And it had to be done under the cover of darkness, because it was an incredibly dangerous operation, taking out these people. The whole system, where this is something that you've made your mark on, the whole system is corrupt. And, there's no point going to a corrupt court for justice, as Donald Trump is finding out. That it goes very, very, very deep. And one thing I do know from my inside information is that in 2018, the governments, the military, the police force were infiltrated by good people to find out who was good and who was bad. And there's an awful lot of bad people in there, but the majority of these people are actually good, caught in a bad place. As it's been said before with the CIA and the FBI, these people are caught in the trap, if you like. Robert David Steele always used to say, there are good people in the CIA, but they're just caught in a bad situation.
And many of them wanted to make deals.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. But this is where you test your true character, as to whether you have the strength of character to actually stand up and be counted, rather than just go along with the flow.
Yes, and it is our duty. We're derelict of our duty in America to not uphold the republics the way our forefathers established them. And even though there's been so much manipulation of the law, and there's been so much manipulation of our history and of what the republic originally stood for, that doesn't mean we can't learn it now, and it doesn't mean we can't correct our wrongs. Because at the end of the day, what I love about this reality is it's always a closed system.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like if someone gives you hate and you give back hate, what are you just going to get more of? If someone gives you argument and you give back argument, you're just going to get more argument. If someone gives you argument, you give back love. Now they have a choice. And that's what we're being given right now. We technically, I believe, went through a full 7-year tribulation for the enemy. The devil knew his time was short. The white hats were brilliant. They were taking pieces off, black pieces off the board, putting them right back on as if they were still in play. Brilliant. Brilliant. And I mean, really, if you look at what Trump did, he set the stage for us to take the next step, and that is connect all the dots. And I feel like we're getting closer and closer and closer to connecting those dots. But until we do it, until we feel the labor of it, we'll never hold it. We'll never appreciate it.
That's so true. And the dark is not getting any darker. It's just that the light is exposing it. So we're seeing it for the first time. So it seems a lot worse because we've never seen it before. I liken it to being in a cave where when you're in there in the dark, you don't see anything. Yeah. And then the moment the light comes in, you start to see things that are scary. And that's where we're at right now. There's a lot of very scary things that are going on that don't make a lot of sense. This is why I enjoy talking to General Michael Flynn, because he's a military mind. Yeah. And he's more to do with the strategy of the tactical battle of taking down a very, very corrupt, evil system. And for me, it's been fascinating. It's been very demanding. There's been some very scary moments. I've been killed 5 times, apparently, according to mainstream media, and all kinds of attacks that come. But one thing that I've rested my faith in is God. Comprehend that God, we're on the same side. We will need, without question, divine intervention. We can't do it by ourselves. And there's a lot of people out there that want to think they can do it by themselves. And boy, oh boy, it's a battle. You and I both know that.
Yeah, I think because now is such a time that through the Great Awakening, which was their worst nightmare, it was enough to cause the powers at be. It was enough to cause a pause, right? We all stopped and we went, wait a minute, there's something seriously wrong here. And just that pause alone forced the powers that be to just turn up the fear. Because if they don't turn up the fear, they can't keep control over us, right? But there's a point in time where all their fear strategies are no longer working. It seems as though the white hats not only were able to get every military to capitulate, they were able to get the banking system, turn the tables on the banking system. So many countries have now signed on to BRICS and Bezos 5. And then on top of that, you have the fact that they have secured the country. Now, I know it doesn't look secure in America. I know it looks like everyone's coming over the border, and we can debate that. But I do believe everything is a big trap. I believe it's a huge sting operation. But at the same, so I think we're safer today than we ever were. It doesn't look like that, but at the same time, there are still people walking into these injections. We've got to do something now. I'm done waiting. Too many people are dying. And I feel like it's time for us to make one last ditch effort to save as many souls as we possibly can through this transition.
The only way that I can see that we can do that is to get them away from the television, because these people are addicted. They're addicted to mainstream media. Yeah,
absolutely. But it really only takes a few lions in each county to get this job done. And I'm proof of that. And so I would love to talk about the wins, because I don't really feel like we have a law problem. I feel like we have a foreign invasion, insurrection, but mostly we have a reporting problem, because even the devil had to follow all the rules of the law. He had to follow all the laws of the universe. All he can do is create a counterfeit and take your attention. And the more we invest in the fake, phony, false counterfeit, the more we're going to get more of that. Yeah. The more we invest in the solution, we're going to get more of that. Now, the solution may feel like a figment of our imagination right now, but it's not, because the forefathers laid our entire foundation, at least in America, on the solution. We just need to walk in it, and then we need to revise it. So it's actually quite simple if we connect the dots. We just need to present that and then let the people start to do the research. Because it really is all of us rising now. It's all of us rising in God's glory. It's all his glory. It's all his timing. It's his perfect plan. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we're moving into divine intuition and divine intervention, meaning it's all us walking in our intuitive, back on our own spiritual path. And so some people are not meant to do this work, but obviously you were designed to do, you were mandated to do the work you're doing, and hence you've dealt with, your own challenges along the way, right? It's been a lot of work. It's like you said, it's laborious. However, this is how we birth a new earth. Is going through our own tribulation, our own labor, getting over our own egos, coming together and working as one against the common enemy or for the common good. And that is hopefully to bring peace throughout the world and to make sure that everyone's needs are met.
Yeah, no, it is very much a question of pulling together and doing the research to join up the dots. Because the one thing that I would urge every single person, I said this yesterday to somebody, I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to learn to trust yourself, because the answers to everything are within. And we've got away from trusting our intuition. And I've often said it on my show, Mickey, that women are better at it than men. My wife has a sixth sense. She can tell me if people are good or bad without even talking to them, just by their energy, by their frequency. So we have the answers within, but we haven't allowed ourselves to trust our intuition. I started this journey 4 or 5 years ago by saying, if it looks like shit and smells like shit, it's probably shit. And we need to get back to that philosophy.
Yeah.
That we've just sort of accepted some absolute rubbish that's come from mainstream media and from the authorities that makes no sense at all.
Yeah, well, I think also people are a little disoriented. I mean, we were trusting of our doctors, our scientists, we were trusting of our politicians, and now we realize the whole world is flipped and we've got to relearn everything. So, like I said, I feel like it was that pause that was just enough to where the powers that be that had to try to maintain that control, and they've clearly lost that control. They've lost the narrative. We are the news now. We are the ones making real news. And so this is why I want to report real wins, because Trump even said, he said he's going to bring power back to the people, which he did. We didn't know how to stand in honor just yet, because a lot of this law form has been hidden from us, but now we do. And so he did bring power back to the people, and now we just need to stand in honor. And so we'll talk a little bit about today. I'd love to just give a recap.
Yeah.
Kind of what I've been working on and what Maureen Steele and I have been doing BUB2 for the last 4 years, and then I'll jump into what we're doing today.
Yeah, please.
But basically, Maureen Steele and I are starting a new operation. It's called the People's Operation Restoration. And we're hoping this becomes the largest grassroots movement this world has ever seen, because today is a modern day war for your mind. The vaccines are the bullets. If everyone could just hear them flying, they'd be a little more alert. And the modern day sword is the pen, the mighty pen. And that's because that's how we were taken over, was through tacit agreements and the mighty pen. And that's how this enemy has siphoned all the world's wealth. But the fact is, we are the creditors of this realm. We are the contributors. We have all the control. We just haven't known how to take it back. So basically, Maureen and I when we first started working together, we ran the nationwide walkout, which I actually jumped on your show. We promoted. It was basically a big strike that we ran in the Golden Gate Bridge, and we actually blocked the whole Golden Gate Bridge. A lot of people were there to protest against forced inoculations at their workplace. But then I went and I started Bonds for the Win. And she was part of that initially. And then she went and ran the Truckers Convoy. And so she's been able to connect with all these different freedom groups. And then now we're coming back together to run this mission. So Bonds for the Win was highly successful. It was one of those things where my kids have been in the school system. They've been masked for a whole year and a half. I made a video about it and I was like, this is so ridiculous. God's asked me to call an army, And so next, I'm calling up everyone I know. And my girlfriend, Ann LaFleur, contacted me. She said, these people are bonded, right? I'm like, well, what exactly is a bond? Well, a performance bond is surety that the public servant is going to do what they say. I mean, in fact, most public servants have to have some skin in the game. So a bond policy allows us to make them personally liable if they're harming our children. So what we did was we had 3 simple steps. Number 1, you send in a FOIA request. FOIA stands for Freedom of Information Act. We were requesting their oath of office, which is their bond to us. Their bond is their word. We were requesting their bonds, their surety bonds, and we were requesting their liability policies. Once we had these in hand, we went and served them. So step 2 was you go to the school board meeting and you'd say, hey guys, you're currently breaking 27 state, national, and international laws. You're personally liable. You're practicing medicine without a license. I don't care what your employer's telling you to do. You are the one committing the act. Therefore, you are liable. And if you don't drop these mask mandates, we're going to file a claim against your surety bond, okay, or liability policy. If they did nothing, we went ahead and filed the claims. But what happened oftentimes is these board members would freak out. They weren't used to us taking offense. They were so used to sitting behind their, comfy seats, and we had to have this big, shield because of COVID. And, it was this big glass shield, and we're allowed 2 minutes to speak. Anyway, when we would take the offense like this, we would give them this letter of intent. They would turn off the lights, call the police, freak out. They'd go back, seek their counsel, and they'd come back 7 days later and vote 7-0, no more masks, no more porn in the library, because they all realized they were personally liable. And so in my school district, we had 25,000 children, and there were 50,000 parents. It only took 10 of us. Mm-hmm. And they removed the mask policy. So once we had 3 wins, we went live. We went and posted it all online. We created bondsforthewin.com. Everybody started FOIA-ing. We started getting these bonds left and right. Next thing you know, we realized they were blanket policies. So Ducey, at the time, was the governor of Arizona. This blanket policy covered every single school district. So we're posting online and we're just like, go get them, Next thing we got Newsom, we had Brown, we had Inslee. Next thing you know, there were parents forming groups and they were serving left and right. I couldn't even keep track of it all. I couldn't even track it. Within 3 months, Biden removed the mask mandate for the entire United States, liberating 50 million children, all because parents took offense. All because we said, nope, we're not standing for this anymore. And most often in an affluent neighborhood or affluent society, it's the parents that will fight for their kids before they'll even fend for themselves. So this was powerful because it didn't just end there. Next thing you know, it was Canada, then it was Europe, then it was Australia. They were all using the same procedures. We were all seeing them release mask mandates. Then it was the private schools that removed them. Then it was the colleges. It was Domino's. Then it was the department stores. Then it was the airlines. And it all just went because they can't keep holding an agenda if they can't hold it everywhere. So even in the schools, before we started our offensive move, there wasn't even a single exemption for a single child. Didn't matter if they had autism or anything. There was no exemptions. But once we got them to back down, it was like taking a piece off the board, a piece off the chessboard, and they're all about moves and counter moves. They're never going to say you won. Mm-hmm. Okay, never. But right after that forensics report, that audit that we did worldwide proved a lot to us. We realized not a single one of these oaths were legit. They've all signed an oath to a foreign corporation. Mm-hmm. So they're not even our public officials. Mm-hmm. Not a single bond paid out. Now, these bond policies were complicated, but it turns out they were bonded to each other. So it was all fraud. They were just money laundering back and forth through these bond policies. So none of them are bonded. So they're not legitimate. They're not bonded. They're not oath. They're not anything. They're foreign corporation. It's a foreign insurrection. Then we started realizing that we'd signed over our children through the birth certificate. We'd signed over our rights to the driver's license. We'd signed over, all of the property of our marriage through the marriage certificates. So at that point, we pulled back. I said, look, I don't want anyone to end up in jail. I don't want anyone to lose a child because of any next step I give. So we really started retracting and learning. We went to the front lines. We learned from the geniuses. These people are experts in the financial aspect of the fraud, the common law aspect of the fraud, the republic, how we were supposed to stand up our republic, what a social compact is, what are we supposed to do in the event of a total and complete foreign insurrection, right? So what we ended up doing is we've now come up with a new 3-step process, and now we're actually using common law. I mean, we're standing in the land of the living under common law. And so what I did with Maricopa County several weeks ago is I brought the papers in and we all signed, and we were joining a council of 12. So 12 people signed, and it's a new 3-step process. So the first step is we have to put them on notice, and we have to give an opportunity to cure. What it really is, it's like a yellow card in the middle of the World Cup saying, look, all bets are off. If I were you, I'd resign immediately because, number one, there's no proof that you've ever signed an oath. There's no proof you've ever been bonded. There's no proof you've ever even been elected because you're covering up and not investigating voter fraud. And number 4, you're masquerading as government. Mm-hmm. So if you don't stand down, you're personally liable for $1.75 million per claim. That's per claim. So with 12 signatures, they're each liable for 21 million. And there's 4.5 million people in Maricopa County. It's the fourth largest county in America. So hello, guys, we're giving you a courtesy. I'd get out because I told them, I was very clear. On top of that, during my speech, I told them I was giving them a jump drive with a 5,000-page document with all the proof on the acts against humanity. And I commanded them to put out a public broadcast notifying everyone of the dangers of these vaccines. And I said to you, if you don't do this, you will be accused of the cover-up, because high crimes are a very big crime. But covering up high crimes makes you an accomplice. So now you're catching them in the inaction, right? You're giving them a choice to remedy, and they didn't. So the next step is you serve them a writ of quo warranto with a waiver of tort. Now, this is in the common law. We can talk a bit about common law in a second. We're leaving the maritime. I'm no longer operating as a corporation. It says in the end times that, you know, the dead would rise in Christ. And that means we're coming out of the dead corporation into the land of the living, walking as sacred stewards of the land and of our original republic. Because if we don't, we're derelict of our duty. And so the next step would be a writ of quo warranto and a waiver of tort. That's just like an affidavit of truth, but even more powerful because we're coming at it from the body sovereign. So the body sovereign controls the body politic. And now through this writ, we're demanding that they show us their credentials. Now it's like, okay, you better show up with evidence or else you're guilty. Well, in 30 days, if they don't show up with evidence, then we do the third step, which is an acceptance of their guilty plea, which is the same thing they do to us when they give us a traffic ticket, right? We're just reversing the playbook. And so in that acceptance, we'll give them a true bill. So here's your final bill for the 21 million that you're personally accountable for. And we'll go ahead and notify the military, right? Because now we've confirmed they're foreign insurrectionists. And last but not least, we can send it off to arbitration, which is then binding, and or we can sell them as debt instruments, which is the same thing they're doing to us, up to our new treasury, which is, as you and I both know, Trump's been cleaning up. So we've got a lot of proof on the front lines that this is working, that in calling in the military has been sending in white unmarked vehicles to take people out, especially the really evil ones. But people don't know how to see all that because it's so between the lines and it's so covert, and that's okay. But I think connecting the dots, we need to get 2/3 of our counties in each state to stand, just like I did. And it's just 12 people in each county. So 12 people in each county stand up. Now we've got every county standing up in the next month in Arizona. We've got every county standing up in Florida. We've got every county is about to stand up in California. We've got all sorts of people working in Massachusetts and in Colorado. It's every state. They can't stop what's coming.
What's their reaction?
Well, they're very nervous. So what we did was we showed up a second time with another set of documents. So we now have 12 more signatures. We're giving them a second notice just to give them more time. But they've doubled up on security. So it's now all these sheriffs, all these deputized sheriffs that are volunteers. And while we were there, we let the sheriffs know, now, do you understand that you're aiding and abetting a foreign insurrection? So we are going to have to serve them next. It is our duty to serve them next because they're each personally liable as well for their actions, and they should have an opportunity to cure. So I hate to say it, but what we really need to look at is this way. It's very simple, guys. There's 4.5 million people who live in Maricopa County. Think of a little tiny pirate ship that has no business being in your county at all. None of them have been elected. None of them signed an oath to us. So giving them any authority is really kind of us being kind of just uninformed, right? Forgive us, Lord, for we knew not what we did. But it's 9 people versus 4.5 million. And it's a little pirate ship that has no jurisdiction over us anyway. So what we're supposed to do is just pile up the debt on them. You debt the debtors of society. You build up, you pile their debts all the way up to heaven while you go and peacefully assemble and restore your republic or restore social compacts, which is essentially a way to declare and decree over your kingdom. So we all call ourselves kings and queens, but you can't really call yourself a king if you're not prepared to protect your kingdom, right? So if I gave you the keys to the castle tomorrow, what are you going to do with it?
Exactly.
People are going to have to roll up their sleeves, you know? we got a big cleanup here. So a social compact is very simple. It's very simple when we simplify these things. Let's say you're in an HOA, which is how a republic is supposed to operate. You show up to the meetings, everyone votes, you have a bunch of admins, those are your trustees, they're supposed to run your HOA, homeowners association. Well, let's say you realize, wow, all these mortgages are fraud. No one in my neighborhood actually owns their land because the county is trying to claim it. We found out that our HOA is actually putting liens on our property. Oh, and they're also selling our data as we come in and out of the gate upstream to the FBI. So they're actually surveilling us. They're not protecting us. So what you do is you form a social compact, let's say 12 or more, and you'd create a trust. And in that, you decide, okay, I'm going to declare and decree over the protection of my neighborhood. From this day forth, I want to declare and decree over the people I want to protect. And inside that, you might also say, we're going to do this first. We're going to run those bad guys out by serving them all personal liability. Then we're going to help everyone get their land patent. We're going to send a flyer out to everyone. Then we're going to help them get their mortgage released. Then we're going to bring in lawful firms to protect and defend in the event that anybody has its CPS coming after them or foreclosure on a home they've already paid 90% equity on, all these things, right? So that's how you would defend and protect. Now it's member based. So if the leader of it leaves, it doesn't matter. The trust doesn't fail. You still have trustees, you still have members, everyone's coming in participating in the protection of their neighborhood. Now you can do that over a county, you can do it over a city, you can do it over an entire state. But it is time now for God to move his kings into position. His lions, his protective, the lions of the tribe of Judah are here to protect. And so right now, I encourage everyone to start thinking, who do I want to protect? Is it the school district? Is it the city? What is it going to be? And then how can we fortify within those social compacts which provide refuge? And that really, truly is what we're supposed to do in this type of an invasion of our republic.
And it's also going to be very, very valuable for Donald Trump with his property in New York, where they're trying to take it off him to get his appeal. And this is all part of the exposure, so that people can actually see. I remember being told 2.5 years ago, Charlie, the people need to see it. You can't just tell them; they need to see it. And we're going through that, aren't we?
Unfortunately, when you're dealing with foreign corporations, the reason the devil came and took over, he didn't really take over. In 1871 in America, they took us into a civil war. And while we were looking over here, they were looking over here. And just, a Republican form of government is a huge threat to the devil because he can't control it. The people have control over government. So what they did was they ran everyone in our 35 states at the time were all separate republics. Think of like Europe. They were all separate countries. They were all there with their own constitution to protect against domestic government overreach, foreign and domestic, right? Whereas we only formed a union to protect against foreign invasion or foreign overreach, which is exactly what Trump and the White Hats have protected us from. But we, the people, were the only ones who had jurisdiction within our states. We, the people, are the only ones who can call in the military within our states. We're the only ones with jurisdiction. And see, Trump's done everything by the book, everything by the book. So ultimately what we're supposed to do is stand up to the tyrants. But so in 1871, they ran everyone out of our republic offices. So we're talking governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, treasurer, House and Senate, the whole House and Senate. And they ran them all out. And when they came back as a foreign corporation, right side by side. Think of another brick building. They're calling themselves governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, House and Senate, but they're just people at podiums. They're actually corporate officers. So why would the devil roll in a corporation side by side? Now you have two governments. You have a dual society that they rolled in. Well, because if they can roll in their own corporate environment, they get to write all their own laws. They get to acquire third-party agencies, three-letter agencies. They can do any merger and acquisition without having to tell you because they own the company. They just have to keep up the ruse. They just have to keep people pacified. So that way they can pull off a big fake flu and be like, what? I don't see a problem here. But that's like going to McDonald's and saying, hey, please protect me from the border. And they're like, no worry, it's a non-issue. We're busy poisoning the people. Don't worry. You're going to be fine. Because we actually don't have jurisdiction. I don't have jurisdiction in Honeywell. I don't have jurisdiction in McDonald's. So they've got us in a trap of the mind. It's only the mind. That's the beautiful thing about this. This is in and of itself the solution. And by the way, it's not their first rodeo. They've done this in every country. They did it in Israel. They did it in Rome. They rolled in is it the Vatican City? That's the corporation, right? They did it in London. They rolled in the city of London, right next door. You know, they did it in America. They rolled in District of Columbia. So this is the similar takeover. This is the monster of the sea, you know, is as it's stated in Leviticus. It's the monster of the sea. The sea is the corporatized law system. The maritime law is the monster of the sea, and it had taken over with tentacles everywhere, as you know. So like I said, right now, we're supposed to just serve them. It's kind of like to take down McDonald's, you can serve every employee, let them know who they work for, let them know the dangers of the food, and then it's up to them to leave. So we can run every employee of these people right out of office. We can call the military if they keep receding, because it's a masquerade. The emperor's pants are down. Yeah. It's an illusion in our mind. And everybody's watching the fake news, and Trump's showing you that. The other thing they can do, so would they bypass our Bill of Rights, because they can write all the rules, the bylaws, the shit made up is what we call it. And, you know, and so now you have a situation where so long as the people corral and they give authority over, then we're all trapped in the same slave system, right? Not only that, they're trading all of our estates in their own private bond markets, and you cannot hold the body as surety for a debt that the body does not owe. So they're trafficking every last one of us by opening bonds in our name through all these courts, and the courts change the rules whenever they feel like it. If they don't like that you won in their case, they'll just swipe it under the rug and no one else can see. They'll change the rules they call prima facie rules. They will apply to them, but not to you. You know, and so we can never win in that jurisdiction. We can never win in the fake government. We can never win in the fake courts. We have to run them out and restore the republic. There's no other option because we don't have power in their jurisdiction. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And their biggest fear is coming true, is the awakening of souls right now. And we're seeing a huge awakening that's going on. And I spoke with Michael Flynn earlier about this. The only thing that's holding us back right now is ego. There's a number of egos in there that are in it for themselves rather than in it for the good of mankind. And being
exactly. And one thing I would say to the people that are maybe questioning what we're doing is like, hey, if you're sitting on the magic bullet and you have the perfect paperwork and you're not bringing it forth, yeah, then are you here to serve the people or are you here to serve yourself? And again, it says in the end time prophecy that God would separate the goats from the sheep, those who do service to self versus those who are doing service to others. And I'm here to say, I'm willing to put my life on the line because I don't have any interest in continuing in a system that is this broken and not do what I'm here to do, and that is to stand up against it on behalf of all the innocent people, even the people that are still asleep, because forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do. We've all been lied to. Like I said, this is almost a hard pill. So I've been telling people, and this is one way to quickly disarm the police worldwide, is most of them don't know this. But when the corporate takeover happened, especially in America, they also acquired all 18,000 police, precincts. They acquired all 678 courts. So now all the courts are maritime. They're not running on common law. Every single court is required to offer trial by peers in every single case. And since they haven't, everything they've ever done is null and void, and all fraud vitiates everything it touches ever since 1878 in America. Can you imagine that? Every precedence, everything they've ever done, they can't stand on it because it's all fraud. But anyway, if we don't realize and if we don't start serving notices of liability to people, they're going to keep doing what they're doing because they're dependent on a paycheck. So we have to give people an opportunity to cure. We have to let them know they work for a foreign corporation, that it is de facto, meaning not real, fake, devoid of fact, and offer them to come over to the de jure, meaning you thought you were signing an oath of office to we the people, but it turns out you weren't. You were signing an oath of office to a foreign corporation with the Dun & Bradstreet number. So how about we give you an opportunity to come sign an oath to we the people, and then you can defend and protect, as you always planned to, the republic. But from now on, you're not going to be going and ripping children out of homes illegally. And you're not going to be foreclosing on homes. You're not going to be acting like there isn't a border problem. Instead, you're going to protect the people, you know? And so there's a few de jure sheriffs that I've been working with, and it's night and day. Mm-hmm. It's night and day to work with a de jure sheriff. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if people are familiar, but like many of the republics have been restored. We just haven't seen the people that are operating out of necessity on behalf of the republic. Because I don't know if you know this, but about 1 week before JFK Sr.'s assassination, he had sent the plans to the Navy, and the Navy is the King's Army. Okay, the JAG officers are the only one that can put people in court-martial during times of war. He had sent the notices to the Navy on how to restore the 50 republics because he knew that they had been invaded and that it had been invaded by secret societies. So there's a real trail that you can see of how obviously our enemy does not like a Republican form of government. So it's taught me a lot about, there's basically 4 forms of government: 2 take you into a utopian society, and 2 take you to a very dystopian society. And we have to become aware of this, or else we'll never be able to hold it. The most utopian society would be self-governance, because if everyone's got their needs met and they've all done the interpersonal work and they've all declared and decreed over their own sovereignty, we wouldn't be in this mess. That would end all wars, right? The second most honorable would be a republic, which is the people controlling the body politic. They are our administrators. They are there to uphold the Constitution, which is all they need to be. And right now, by the way, I could argue, since there's no one sitting in the seats for our republic, you can't stand on the Constitution because you have no trustees there to uphold it. When they came in the foreign insurrection, and now it was a corporation, they were like, we should really rewrite the Constitution. It's not good enough. But what they were really doing was writing corporate bylaws and calling it a constitution just to fool us all, which is what they do. They call it the same thing, but it's in all caps. That's how you know. But so the first most dystopian form of government would be into a democracy. So democracy is almost like dictatorship. It's a majority vote, which means no one's really ever voting for the little guy, the minority. And you almost always end up in a disparity of wealth between the rich and the poor, which leads into any form of ism: socialism, Marxism, communism, capitalism, you know all of them. That would be a fourth. And I could even argue there's a fifth, and that would be a new world order, wherein the queen is basically trading us all as human slaves, which is really where we had ended up. So it's really quite amazing what the White Hats have accomplished here to secure, the human race. Really, my hat is off. I don't even know. I couldn't even imagine what had to go into the planning of what they've accomplished here. But now we can follow in their footsteps. And no one has received more cast stones than Trump. Mm-hmm. No one has taken more risk and put it all on the line than Trump. So I think we can all follow in his footsteps now and do the exact same thing. Put the debtors of society on notice, put them in check. It's an ultimate checkmate move. We don't need to play defense anymore. We don't need to try to go get our land patents through all the, the rigmarole and all that stuff. We can literally just go serve the land patent office, all of us in unison. And like I said, put all the egos aside and look at it from the common man. And then we can come together and reform a new constitution. And ultimately, the forefathers, they used to always agree on the end result, but they used to stay up all night and get totally drunk and argue until the cows came home. But they cared about the people and they cared about doing it right. And even though they were threatened in their lives, they still got the job done. And now it's our job. I don't believe we ever totally run the Revolutionary War because they slowly but surely dismantled our republics. But now we've rewon it again. We've won. Now it's time to do the final steps to put them on notice, call in the military, and then move on into, I think, a new earth, which is really what we have to forge together.
Yeah, and the hard work has been done. And you're absolutely right. It's now time for everyone to stand up against them. And they are bullies by the nature. They will try and push you and force you to believe their way. But the truth is the truth. And the truth will always stand up and stand the test of time. And this is what we're seeing right now. we're seeing the complete collapse. You spoke earlier about the planning of this. I've managed to go back probably nearly 25 years to find out that this has been in the planning for at least 25 years. There's been a lot of hard work done behind the scenes that has been done in silence, under the cover of darkness, because it was the tentacles of evil, of their whole setup, the corporation setup, run so deep into so many areas, and it was genius on their part to convince everybody. And it's taken a long time to unpick everything. And one thing I would say to both of our audiences is, people are saying, well, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Well, I'll tell you what, the work that's been done in the last few years is incredible. The pace at which it's been done is unbelievable when you consider how they've got the tentacles into every facet of our lives. And the unpicking of it, I can assure our audiences the hard work has been done, and we're now seeing the pantomime play out. But it's now time to stand up and catch up, and realize which side of the fence you're going to be, because there's actually no fence. If you try and sit on it, you'll default on the wrong side. It's very important that you actually make a stand.
And that is the law, the golden rule. It's not he who makes the gold makes the rules. That's not the golden rule. If you look up the real golden rule, it is doing nothing is an action. Yeah. We are here to end all karmic debt. We're here to end all wars. This is the war to end all wars. And what they've done is so miraculous. And it's really, if anyone's still lacking faith, just look in between the lines. Obama was dropping a bomb, every 7 minutes? As soon as Trump took that presidency, there hasn't been a bomb drop. He brought peace in the Middle East. We always knew that the Khazarian mafia was going to have to be taken care of in the Ukraine. We always knew they would save Israel for last, and that the Mossad, was there. But right now, to the rest of the world, I'm curious how you see it. I think the rest of the world is looking at only two countries at war right now, and that's Israel and America, because you can see the invasion at our border. And this is the first time in America we've actually been on the news as the ones being invaded. So it is our duty to stand on the morals of what our forefathers established. It is our right, our privilege, but mostly our duty to protect and defend against a domestic government overreach. This is our terrain. This is our jurisdiction. If we don't step in that honor now, then that inaction is continuing to maintain what already is. So yeah, if we don't, and I think even in some of the esoteric practices, they teach that what you want to do is you want to get the people to care a lot. And I got to say, we care a lot. I know of a lot of people that care a lot. Then you give them a lot of knowledge, and you give them the right action. Then you give them the action, and that will end all. Will end all. I believe it will end all the lies, because we can serve all the media, we can serve all the doctors, we can serve all the nurses, we can inform them. But now it's time for us to hard pill. We can't just let ABS come anymore. I'm tired of waiting. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? People are still dying. And so I just want to kind of explain common law to people, just so they know, so they can start knowing where to go and research. There's the Common Law Academy by Ron Bouchard. He's amazing. He's so much fun to go learn from. They're at2.us. Anyone can go and start learning common law. There are many Telegram channels that have been truthing this information. You can go follow the Bonds for the Win Telegram channel all the way back for the last 2 years. We've posted so much stuff on this. Short videos that are easy to digest, easy to understand. But technically, all we're really doing is flipping the playbook. We are the creditors. We have to start acting like creditors and not debtors. So creditors ask questions. Who are you and who do you work for? Wait a minute. Never get in the ring with someone you don't know who they work for, you haven't done the background check, and you don't know who they've signed an oath to. We should never be arguing with tyrants. Okay, so basically, every time a police officer in America pulls you over, he's giving you an affidavit. It's a ticket, but he's giving you an affidavit. It's actually an affidavit of fiction. Why is it fiction? Can you guess?
Go on.
Well, he works for a legal fiction. And he's got a contract with your legal fiction, or else he can't get you into contract, right? Now, is he holding you in duress? He's armed, right? And he's telling you he's going to take away your license or your registration if you don't comply. So there's a lot of extortion, duress, and racketeering. So what he's doing, though, is he's handing you an affidavit, and an affidavit has certain core parts. It's got 30 days for you to show up at court to defend yourself, or else you're considered guilty. They accept your guilty plea. They fine you. Points go against your record. But what you don't know is they're opening a trust in your name. Now, did you give them permission to do that?
No.
No. And let me ask you another question. Can your corporation even run a red light?
No. So
it's a fiction. He's charging you a fiction. He's charging you a fiction crime. There's no victim. And now he's giving you an affidavit of fiction. So that affidavit ends up becoming a debt instrument, because they open a trust in your name and they put 3 bonds in that trust: a bid, a performance, and a payment. And you can look these up on treasurydirect.gov. And you can just enter your case file and you can see all the bonds, because every single time they touch it, they're opening more bonds and they're trading you. Then what they do is they package those bonds up and they sell them as debt instruments upstream. Okay. Now, they didn't tell you they were doing that because they're drawing money out of your backpack. I call it a backpack. It's your Cesta KV trust. Even the homeless have wealth that they don't know about. Right. So they're targeting everybody. They're targeting everybody, and they're just pirates. They're money changers. They're stealing from your, Cesta KV trust under the guise of a traffic ticket. So you could then, after you've allowed that officer to commit the crime, you could turn around and give him a notice. You first have to notify him who he works for, what he's doing, and give him an opportunity to cure, give him an opportunity to come over to the du jour. But if he doesn't do that, you could serve him an affidavit of truth. Now, this is in the common law. So you can't prove I'm not living because I'm breathing. You know what I mean? I can't prove he's not living. And in the common law, it's not corporation to corporation. It's man to man, woman to man. It's living being to living being. So in the common law, our court of record is the post office. You send via registered mail. It's been submitted. They've been received. That's your post office. That's your court of record. And your judge is the magistrate. The magistrate is the notary. So you just go to the notary. They write it down in their little book. They've submitted the documents to the judge. All he can do is receive and send documents. That's all they do. And in the common law, you send via registered mail. So you could technically send him an affidavit. And in that affidavit, you could say, there is no evidence to prove you didn't just hold me at gunpoint. There's no evidence to prove you didn't just attempt to traffic my person. There's no evidence to prove that you don't work for a foreign corporation posing as a peace officer. There is no evidence to prove that you didn't just threaten taking me to jail if I don't comply, which is extortion and racketeering, because you're ganging up on me. It's you and the courts and everybody else, right? Well, he can't rebut any of those facts, right? Because they're true. And there could be $1 million in fines to him for every single traffic violation that he issues. So in order to really put out this fire, we're all going to have to get a bit brave and give yellow cards to cops and let them know there are documentaries they can watch to wake up. We're all slaves in the same system. They're poisoning all of our children, all of them, from the minute they're born with these injections. They're poisoning with the food, air, and water. We're all in the same boat, but it's our job now to stand up to authority. It is our job now to give them an opportunity to cure and to come over to the du jour, because all we have to do in America is form either a new corporation or form a du jour police precinct, get 40 guys in there, and we get federal funding.
Wow.
So it's time for us to restore our kingdom. People are going to have to roll up their sleeves, and they're going to have to operate with faith.
It is. And there's so many young men out there that have always wanted to be superheroes. And I've been pleading with them for a long time. Now's your chance. You can be a superhero right now by just doing a little bit of research and standing up for your God-given rights.
And you might not be the one who wants to give the speech in front of the board of directors or the board of supervisors, the board of, commissioners, whatever, but you'll find a team that will, and there'll be someone in the team that can do everything. So one person might handle the paperwork. One person might handle running the parties to get everyone together. One person might do the education on what's on the paperwork. One person might, stand up and give the speech. I didn't expect it, but when I gave my speech in front of Maricopa County, and there was a whole sequence of events, it wasn't actually my speech that got the board to run out of the room just to set the record straight. We were all signing papers, and then a gal in front of me actually caused the board to leave. They left, and because they left and they left the mic open, I got up and I gave my speech anyway, because I was like, look, I came with my speech. And so Ann Vanderstil tweeted it out. She thought that my speech is the reason they left the room. It was actually, again, because the people before me were speaking. But that tweet went nuclear. I mean, overnight, we had 4.4 million views. And we redacted the statement, updated everyone, no, it's we. It's a We the People movement. There are many groups in Arizona that were a part of this. And, you know, I give all the credit to all the work that we've all been doing, because together and collectively we come together as in unity. But at the end of the day, within, you know, we redacted and updated the statement within 11 hours. But in the end of the day, we had 8.8 million views just on the speech alone. And next thing you know, everyone was sharing it. So we had over 50 million views. That just tells me the world's ready to watch. They're ready to watch some wins. So if anybody wants to be a hometown hero, check out our website, the People's Operation Restoration. Join our Army of Light. We're asking for all the freedom groups to come together and start trying these common law measures. It's not about, like I said, we don't have a law problem. We have a reporting problem because no one's reporting on the wins. And when we start shining light on how these little guys run, judges will recuse themselves. People will resign. You're going to have people turning on each other because they don't like the pressure. They're not used to playing defense, Charlie. They have no idea how to play defense. We don't even know how to play offense, but if we can do it and learn to walk in honor, and I want to close with that, because really, we're going to fall down and we're going to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. I've already made mistakes. As soon as they vacated their seats in the boardroom, I tried to take over the boardroom and start to elect volunteers because they've just vacated their seats. I'm thinking we need to elect volunteers out of necessity. But let's look at it another angle. If it's really a corporation, that's like going into Honeywell. Even though they call it a public building and our taxpayer dollars pay for it, technically I think our taxpayer dollars are going to the Queen and they're making all their money through the racketeering. So technically it's like going into Honeywell and trying to take over their meeting. I really don't have jurisdiction there. And I don't want anyone storming any capitals. We don't need that. We need to go to the post office. That's it. That's all we really need to do. And it's good and honorable to stand and use our 2 minutes of speaking time, but not to cause a ruckus. We're not here to cause any disruption. That's it, period. And so though that video may have gone viral, I think I would have done it a little different the next time. And I think we're going to continue to do it different. We're going to do everything through the post. We can do everything via, recording, because all this stuff can be shared via social media. We just need people to start sharing it and start stepping in that honor. So once again, 4 ways to respond to any presentment. Too honorable, too very dishonorable. And it's important that we realize that they put us in a state of dishonor. They called us sinners. They really did put us in a state of sin, but we didn't know better. Now we do. So now we can act better, right? The most honorable way you can respond to any presentment, especially in these courts, is through acceptance. I accept who I am. I accept who you are. I have a thorough knowledge of who you work for and who I work for. I have a thorough knowledge of what jurisdiction you have, what jurisdiction I have as a sovereign, and now I can operate in that. I can allow you to commit the crime, just like a teenager. I can put, you on notice. Hey, the next time you do that, you're going to get your hand slapped, but then you got to follow through. You got to follow through with that. You can't just say you're going to do it and not do it. Mm-hmm. We have to follow through with the writ of quo warranto if they don't back down, if they don't resign, and that's okay. And I don't think Maricopa County is going to be first to fall. I think there'll be other counties that fall in Arizona first, because Maricopa is very dark. We just have a lot of stuff going on here with Arizona State University and the whole bit. It's a gain of function research and the smart cities and all that. So there's a lot going on in Arizona. However, the second way you can respond to a presentment is conditional acceptance. Now, this is still honorable. This is like what you did when you went into the courts and you said, either I don't understand. You're saying I don't stand under you, right? Or what did you say specifically? You said what rules
I asked them if it was a corporation court and they accepted the fact that it was a corporation court. And I said to them, well, you won't be able to hear me then. And they were very uncomfortable, but they try and wiggle because the the one thing is they've never ever had people question them, and they don't
Right.
like being questioned. And the minute you
don't like it, because
stand
in
up
a
against,
sense, you're playing the role of conditional acceptance. You're saying, sure, I'll agree to accept to contract with you if you can prove jurisdiction over me, and you proved that they don't because they're a corporation. But that's still just defense, because that got you out of the case, but it didn't save the village.
yeah, sure.
Catching them in the act is walking in acceptance. That's how you save the village, right? Mm-hmm. But then the next more dishonorable way is to be an argument, to argue with them. They love keeping us in argument.
Yeah,
they have invested millions upon millions of dollars in Operation Paperclip and all this crap just to keep us in the wars that never end.
Yeah.
Amongst each other, amongst, there's literally a narrative for everyone to keep us at war. Mm-hmm. And then the most dishonorable would be to operate in ignorance, to ignore, to act like you don't notice it, to act like you ignore the fact that they've created a Cesta KB trust in your name. See, I think it was Dave XRPLion that came on your show, and he said, these guys have infinity on the books. Mm-hmm. We can't allow that. A second set of books that we don't have access to, the slaves don't have access to, but the elite do. And they have infinity to create another fake flu. I mean, what was their agenda? To take down, 7 billion of us?
Yeah.
I mean, it was on the Georgia Guidestones, people. Yeah. Right? So we can no longer operate in ignorance. We have to operate in acceptance. It's not about getting out of or rescinding contracts in the conditional acceptance. It's about getting everyone free. Serving the pirates. There's only 9. There's only 9 in Maricopa. It's only 9. Yeah. We're not talking about like a legion of people with a bunch of muskets, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm not asking you to go to the battlefield. I'm asking you to pick up a pen. Don't go to you don't need to go to a march. You just need to pick up a pen.
Exactly. And as long as everybody does something, we're in the majority. They're in the 1%. They're less than 1%. They're 0.01%. These people are claiming they have all this power and control, and they just don't. And we need to stand together and stand up. And as I said earlier, and I'll say it again, we need to let ego disappear. There's too many people that are letting ego get in the way, and that's what's holding us back from completely dismantling these people. If we stand together, work together, fight together, and we've all got different, like a chessboard, we're all different pieces. And we've all got different purposes. And when there's no point me trying to do somebody else's job. And we're all doing our own job. Stop standing on other people's toes. Stop fighting against the infighting that I've seen in the truth movement. I find embarrassing. We should all be on the same side. We should all be fighting the corruption that's out there. There's enough for us all to do.
Yeah, I'd like to speak on the infighting just for a second, just to give people a choice, because you should have a choice. Everyone has a choice. We know better, we do better.
Yeah.
One of the most common maxims of law says, and this is common law, common sense, says if you're going to bring an accusation, you have to bring an opportunity to cure. Mm-hmm. You can't just keep accusing and not give an opportunity to cure. And that way the matter is settled and both parties can walk with clean hands. Mm-hmm. You also have to come with evidence of your accusation. And if you come with evidence of the accusation and you don't offer a trial by peers, because we're all being tried by peers anyway, mm-hmm. especially in the public view, especially with everyone naysaying or making up lies or rumors. Making up lies or rumors is the most dishonorable thing anyone can do, because A, they haven't given fair testimony to both parties. And really, they're operating in fear because they don't really have trust in their own discernment, mm-hmm. right? But if you don't give someone an opportunity to cure, then all you're doing is slandering them. So now you're actually creating a victim when there was no victim. Mm-hmm. So all we have to do as light workers is listen to both sides of every story. If you still can't remedy it, get a trial by peers. People should be able to bring their friends and family to speak for them, bring any witnesses, bring any evidence. Because, and then on top of that is if you falsely accuse someone, like let's say you accuse someone of stealing $1,000 and you don't have any evidence of it and you can't prove it, and they actually prove that they didn't steal, you owe them $3,000. Mm-hmm. You owe them 3 times because you made a false accusation.
Mhm.
If it turns out they did steal that 1,000 from you, they owe you 10 times.
Mhm.
And that's all written in the Bible. The Bible is our law book, just like your friend Lena. Lena, is that her name?
Yeah.
She says, it's the trust book. And it is. It's the trust. Jesus
Mhm.
was teaching how to walk on water.
Mhm.
And he said that thy will be done, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And that prophecy is coming true today because all the same rules from heaven are coming back to us.
Yeah. Well, Mickey, it's been a real pleasure to catch up with you again. You're looking amazing, as
Thank you.
always.
You too.
And thank you so, so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Charlie. It's always a pleasure. And thanks for all your hard work. And we appreciate you more than you know on this side of things, really.
Well,
thank you so much for all your truth.
Send my love to Maureen as well, and appreciate everything you guys are doing. It's so, so important.
Thank you so much. I'm ready for see everyone winning. We're going to keep winning, and you're not even going to be able to stop it. Everyone's going to be like, I can't take any more winning.
Exactly.
That's what Trump said. Yeah.